Councilmember McDermott and I have been asked to host this evening great campaign kickoff event here at the hall at Fauntleroy. First, give yourself a hand because we're really happy all of you are here. But the motivation for all of us being here is to participate in the kickoff campaign for our King County Executive, Dow Constantine. Dow was first elected 4 years ago in the fall of 2009, and we're gathered here today to lay the foundation for his re-election effort, which will be countywide, which will include activists and supporters from every imaginable sector of our population, which will be extremely successful to keep him in office for 4 more years.
You guys no doubt where you wouldn't be here. You know how well organized he is. One might even say meticulous. He scripted Larry and I quite carefully. And you'll be happy to know we're already off script. I'd like to begin by acknowledging a couple of elected officials who have joined us this evening and introducing them as well. King County Sheriff John Urquhart. Bellevue City Council Member John Stokes. And my friend and West Seattle native, I'm glad he's up here from Olympia tonight, State Senator Ed Murray. And while it's not legal until tomorrow afternoon, I also want to introduce incoming Court Commissioner Courtney Gregoire. See you tomorrow. And now I'll get back on script for just a minute. Larry knows Dow from having served together on the county council for a number of years, but I also know Dow first as a fellow member of the 34th District Democrats. In fact, we were both here last night for the monthly meeting, and we're both former chairs of the organization. And I now have the pleasure of serving on the county council and working with Dow as executive.
And as Joe just said, I worked with Dow for the 8 years previous to him being elected as our county executive on the King County Council. He and I worked very closely in passing a wide range of ordinances and motions that have made King County the #1 county for criminal justice reform. We've been able to reduce our jail population and keep the citizens safe for over 20% for adults and over 50% for youth by passing measures like the mental health drug dependency ordinance that dramatically increased the resources that we had for working on issues like this. For half the years that Dow was on the county council, he and I served on the budget committee together, making sure that we had a balanced budget each and every year. And most recently, over the last 4 years since he's been county executive, we worked very closely to make sure that our government now has what many are calling the best commitment to equity and social justice in terms of policy frameworks for judging how well we do on behalf of the poor and the disadvantaged and the left out sectors of our population. That is a great record to run on, and we are very excited about supporting Dow as he goes forward for the second term.
And so far, I've only gotten one way to indicate an elected official I've missed. I'm also happy to introduce King County Assessor Lloyd Herrera. Looking at both of us, you might be able to tell Lloyd and I were at the same lunch today. In Dow's role as executive, I've gotten to work with them on some exciting activities for the county. For putting together the funding package for the South Park Bridge, reopening that vital connection that was lost in South Park, and preserving Metro bus service by enacting the congestion relief charge. But I've gotten to work with Dow on a number of other things as well. Last year I stood with Dow as Governor Gregoire signed into law marriage equality in the state of Washington. And then I worked shoulder to shoulder with Dow, Ed, and so many others in this room and far beyond to make sure that it was upheld on the ballot last fall when we approved Referendum 74.
So as you can see from listening to Councilman McDermott and I, we've all accomplished a lot working together, but we still have a lot more to accomplish, and that's why we're here tonight, to make sure that this brilliant, great leader stays in office for 4 more years.
So as Larry has said, we are just the interactive. It's our pleasure tonight to introduce to you our county executive, the person we're here to support for 4 more years working for us and for One King County. Ladies and gentlemen, County Executive Dow Constantine.
Larry Gossett, Joe McDermott, ladies and gentlemen. It's a genuine honor for me as executive to be able to work with the real article from West Seattle, a true native son of my neighborhood, Joe McDermott, and with a guy I first met when I was a young staffer on the county council. He probably doesn't remember, but when I first said I wanted to run for the State House of Representatives when I was staffing Greg Nichols at the county council, Larry Gossett was the first guy in elected office who said, "I will support you. I believe in you." One of the things that it's easy to lose sight of in our day-to-day work on the county council is how remarkable the group is with whom we work. And Larry Gossett, he's the chair of the council. He's a guy who we work with on the little ordinances and motions and the budget occasionally. But Larry Gossett is a bona fide civil rights hero from the time he was a high schooler. So it is an honor to work with you, sir, and to learn from you. And we all are very, very fortunate to have people like this and like the other elected officials, devoting their lives to public service. I, of course, grew up here in West Seattle. You're probably all tired of hearing the story, but I'm not. And it's wonderful to be from somewhere and to know that place and to be able to see it change around you, and through that to know yourself and be able to guide the fortunes of this government from a real solid piece of ground like West Seattle. In fact, we're back at this Fauntleroy Elementary School where I kicked off my campaign for the House in 1996 with a crowd only about a tenth the size of this one, really. Including Mayor Rice, Chris Novoselic from Nirvana, and 6 or 7 other people, most of whom are related to me. Yeah, thank you, Joe. And then we came back in 2000 or 2001 when I was sworn in by Phil Talmadge, actually, my own state senator, as a member of the Washington State Senate. My family was here then. They're here now. I want to introduce, first of all, my mom and dad, John and Lois Constantine, are here somewhere, waving back. My brother Blair is here in the back over there. And of course, the best dressed person in the room, my girl Shirley Carlson, is here. You can look at some of the side tables and the tables in the lobby. The blue runners that are there were hand sewn by my mother, the home ec teacher, 15 years ago for an event here at the Hall of Fauntleroy. We've had them lovingly stored in the basement ever since, so we thought we'd bring them out as an historical piece tonight, those blue runners on the table. My great uncle Bonner Wilson was the principal at this very elementary school back in the 40s and 50s. So it is great to return here to kick off this next phase, and I am pleased in that vein to announce that I will be a candidate for re-election for the office of Chief Counsel. Now, I know you were all on pins and needles about that. But let me tell you why it was an easy choice for me to seek re-election. 4 years ago, I stepped into this race as a county council member against some very strong candidates. And, you know, I didn't know whether I was going to be able to win or lose. I didn't know that I had an idea of what we needed to do with this county, nor did I really have any notion that I would be the best person to be able to manage an enterprise of, at that time, some 14,000 employees. But as it turns out, we put together a good team, and they've been working pretty well together. We have put the county back on sound financial footing, and I want to thank Deputy Executive Fred Jarrett, my Chief of Staff, Suzanne, and the whole team. That was a team effort with our county council that has, regardless of their core ideology, has always been dedicated to responsible fiscal management, and we have in fact bent the curve on cost increases. Our employees chipped in with their cost of living adjustments and helping with medical costs, and we have put ourselves in a much stronger position than we were just 4 years ago. And our employees have also embraced new innovations like bringing lean management into government, and they are finding out how to not merely make one-time improvements, but to create a culture of continuous improvement in county government, and we're sharing those lessons with other governments around our region and around our nation. Thank you to our great King County employees. None of what we have accomplished would have been possible without a new spirit of partnership. You know, it used to be that King County tried to kind of go it alone, but we now realize that we need everyone fully participating in order for us to be able to move forward as a region. So we partnered with the county council, as our two council members have said. We partnered with our employees, but more than that, we've partnered with the 39 cities of King County. We've partnered with our sister counties across this region. We have partnered with the businesses and the nonprofits who are helping move us forward. And instead of talking about what do you need and what do we need, we have talked about what are the needs of the shared constituency, of the people we all serve, and how can each of us bring our best work forward to serve those folks. Well, we've done it in transit. And it was mentioned earlier that we stood up and said, we're not going to lose our bus service, we're going to fight for it. We reformed Metro Transit with a county-wide partnership. And then we went to the legislature and said, see, we're dealing with things differently these days. Give us the authority to save ourselves, to keep our economy moving forward, and they did it. On animal services, we had terrible challenges with the humane treatment of animals in this county. We had over 40% euthanasia rate in our shelters. And we turned to our employees and our volunteers and our county council, and we said we can do better. And today, the euthanasia rate in our shelter, which is now called the King County Animal Adoption Center, is down to under 14%, the lowest in the country. That was done through partnerships, through realizing we could do better, and by setting high standards for ourselves. The saving of Maury Island was another example of work with us, the state and federal government, nonprofits. We banded together and saved a mile of shoreline on Maury Island no one thought we would ever save. And instead of a gravel mine, that is now going to be a preserve to help our orcas and our salmon recover. Thank you, Councilmember McDermott in particular, for helping lead that effort. Howard Hanson Dam. The new South Park Bridge will open in less than a year. These are all examples of how working together we can do things that people said could not be done. And in doing so, we have inspired confidence in our citizens, in our voters. And that confidence has been expressed with the overwhelming approval by 70% of the Veterans and Human Services levy, with the overwhelming approval of the construction of a new Children and Families Justice Center to bring both justice and healing and redemption to young people and families who found themselves in trouble. And this year, we will be putting forward a renewal of our parks levy to keep open and growing one of the greatest park systems in the nation, now celebrating its 75th anniversary. Thank you to the County Council for embracing the opportunity to build on that legacy. So we are now poised with a government that is constantly improving, that is focused on customer service and on efficiency. We are poised for greatness. And as we come out of this recession, this region needs to focus on competing not just with the middling cities around this continent, but with the leading economic regions of this world. Because that's who we are now. We are the home to some of the world's greatest corporations. We are the home to some of the world's great research institutions. We are home to some of the brightest, most innovative people in the world. And the thing that we need to do in order to cash in on those advantages, to cash in on the natural environment that we have here, on the human capital that we have here, is to invest in our infrastructure. Now, when I say invest in our infrastructure, you think about roads and buses and buildings, and those are all important, but also in the natural infrastructure, in restoring our salmon runs, in protecting the wilderness, in keeping our water clean and our air clean. Those are critical to our quality of life and to bringing the best minds to our region. And the human infrastructure. And what do I mean by human infrastructure? I mean investing in making sure that our people are educated, are trained, receive the help they need if they're struggling with mental illness or addiction, that they are being prepared to not only be happy in life, but to be able to participate in this amazing prosperity that this region has created. We, unlike almost anywhere else in this country, have the chance to connect the broad population growing up here now with some of the world's leading industries. They can become the engineers, the software engineers, the aerospace engineers. They can become the machinists. They can become the next generation of innovators and entrepreneurs. And all we have to do is do what those before us did. Invest in education. Invest in transportation. Invest in a functioning justice system and in human services that help those who fall through the cracks get back on their feet. That is our challenge for the next 4 years. I believe that we represent the people in this room, the people in this community, the people in this county represent the highest aspirations of the people of the state of Washington. And we see Ed Murray down there. Thank you, Ed. Struggling to get as simple and common sense a measure as universal background checks for gun purchases passed and having that die in the House of Representatives. A measure that's supported by some 90% of people, even a vast majority of members of the National Rifle Association, and yet it can't get through the State House of Representatives. It's controlled by Democrats. We know we have a challenge. We have to connect our policies with the people we serve, with their underlying values and beliefs and aspirations for their country. Well, that's the challenge for the next 4 years. So we're going to talk with our legislators about making sure that we have the local authority to invest in that infrastructure, in the transportation, in the transit, in the human infrastructure of mental health treatment, of education, of justice, in the natural infrastructure of preserving our farms and forests and restoring our salmon and the sound. If we can do those things, we will be living up to our responsibility to those who came before us, to the pioneers who came here and established a great university in a town of only a few hundred people. Of the pioneers who came here and realized we could have a great park system, and that someday there would be millions of folks living here who would need it. Of the pioneers who came here and built cities around transportation investments that we are being challenged today even to preserve. We have the ability, we have the responsibility. I believe the people we represent, and I'm including you in representing them, have the vision to create the foundation for a future prosperity that is great, as we've seen in the past, but that is also broad, that is accessible to everyone, and that lifts up not only individuals, but creates the opportunity to reinvest in this region, in cleaning up the contamination of the past, in rebuilding the transportation infrastructure, and in making sure that every child has a chance at a better future, to do better than his or her parents did. That is our vision. We share it together. We're going to move forward in partnership. I want to thank our council members for introducing me tonight. I want to thank our campaign crew, led by our new campaign manager, Catherine Woods. Wave at everybody. Leadership team and our King County staff who have created this remarkable success that we've enjoyed over the last 3 years and are going to launch us into a new era of prosperity. And I want to thank the people of this county, of this community, and of this county. It is because of your support that we're able to do things that no other government around this country is able to do. Because you believe in innovation, because you believe in the vision of a better future. Let's go out now and win that future. Thank you very much.